In my last video, we saw the intense battle of Doma versus Inosuke and Kanao. But today we're diving into an even greater clash. The fight against Kokushibo, the Upper Moon One, the strongest demon after Muzan himself. This is the story of Sanemi, Gyomei, Muichiro, and Genya, standing together in the most brutal battle of the Infinity Castle arc. The fight begins with Mitsuri, who encounters Nakime the demon controlling the entire Infinity Castle with her blood demon art. Obanai quickly realizes that she is the new Upper Moon 4. He remembers that Muichiro had already defeated the previous Upper Moon 4, Hantengu, which means Nakime is his replacement. Mitsuri immediately launches an attack on Nakime, feeling the heavy responsibility on her shoulders. She recalls how Shinobu had sacrificed her own life despite being younger than her, and now it was her turn to step up and defeat an Upper Moon. But before her attack can land, Nakime manipulates the castle and creates a wall that knocks Mitsuri off balance, causing her to fall. Obanai saves her, but the situation embarrasses Mitsuri deeply. Obanai calmly reminds her that they still don't fully understand Nakime's abilities, and it's better to stay cautious and observe. Nakime continues shifting the castle, opening trapdoors beneath them, but both Mitsuri and Obanai manage to dodge. At one point, Mitsuri nearly gets crushed when the floor rises toward the ceiling, but she narrowly saves herself. From this, she realizes that Nakime has nearly complete control over the structure of the Infinity Castle itself. Mitsuri attacks again, but Nakime instantly warps the battlefield by opening another door, causing Mitsuri to fall once more. This time, Obanai counters with his serpent breathing techniques, aiming for Nakime's neck. However, before his blade can land, Nakime protects herself with her blood demon art. Meanwhile, we shift to Gyu and Muichiro, who are getting closer to Muzan's location. Suddenly, one of Nakime's walls strikes Muichiro and sends him flying into another chamber. There, he comes face to face with none other than Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. Kokushibo's overwhelming presence is suffocating, so intense that even a Hashira like Muichiro begins to sweat. Using his ability to see into the transparent world, Kokushibo immediately notices Muichiro's remarkable potential and mutters that there's something special about this boy. Muichiro, in shock, realizes that Kokushibo is unlike any other demon he has faced. He notices the katana at Kokushibo's side and understands that this demon was once a demon slayer in his human life. The realization makes his hands tremble. His body feels heavy, as if it's refusing to fight. Suddenly, Kokushibo speaks for the first time, calmly asking Muichiro for his name. Muichiro calmly replies, "Tokito Muichiro." The moment he hears this, Kokushibo's expression changes. He murmurs that the surname Tsugikuni no longer exists in this era. Muichiro is confused, wondering who or what Tsugikuni is. Kokushibo then reveals a shocking truth. Tsugikuni was once his surname, back when he was still human. He goes on to explain that Muichiro is his descendant. The revelation stuns Muichiro. He struggles to believe that he is related to the strongest Upper Moon, Kokushibo himself. A storm of questions floods his mind, but he forces himself to stay calm, because in the middle of this life and death battle, it doesn't matter whose descendant he is. What matters now is fighting. Muichiro grips his sword and launches his attack. Kokushibo observes him closely, impressed by his composure in such an intense situation. He remarks that such calmness can only come from a true Tsugikuni. Muichiro attacks with incredible smoothness, but Kokushibo effortlessly dodges. Still, he praises Muichiro's refined technique, saying this is exactly what he would expect from his descendant. Muichiro unleashes mist breathing, sea of clouds and haze, a fluid and graceful strike, but once again Kokushibo evades with ease. He then calmly evaluates Muichiro, saying, "You appear to be around 14 years old. For someone so young, your strength is remarkable. It must be because my blood still runs in your veins." Muichiro, angered, immediately awakens his demon slayer mark. He glares back at Kokushibo and declares, "Even if I am your descendant, not a single drop of your demon blood flows within me." Seeing the mark, Kokushibo is both shocked and fascinated. For the first time in centuries, someone had unlocked the demon slayer mark before his very eyes. Muichiro then unleashes his strongest attack, mist-breathing 7th form, obscuring clouds. The movement is so flawless and unpredictable that even Kokushibo hadn't anticipated it. But still, Kokushibo dodges at the last moment. His patience ends here. With deadly calm, Kokushibo finally draws his blade. In a single motion, he slices off Muichiro's arm. The young Hashira is overwhelmed by pain and shock, realizing for the first time that Upper Moon 1 can also use a breathing style. Struggling to survive, Muichiro quickly ties his severed arm with his uniform to stop the bleeding and continues fighting with only one arm. He launches another desperate attack, but Kokushibo easily catches his sword. Then, With terrifying cruelty, Kokushibo drives Muichiro's own blade through his chest and pins him against a pillar. Leaning close, Kokushibo offers him a choice. If you become a demon, your arm will regenerate and you could easily rise to the rank of an upper moon. If Muzan accepts you, you will gain limitless strength. You will never have to fear death again. Muichiro, writhing in pain and pinned to the pillar, could barely comprehend what was happening around him. He couldn't even think of an escape. Just then, the door to the chamber burst open, and Genya Shinazugawa entered. Genya immediately aimed his gun at Kokushibo and fired. But in the blink of an eye, Kokushibo appeared behind him and coldly asked, "Did you really think that would work?" Before Genya could react, Kokushibo severed one of his arms. Muichiro's eyes widened in panic. Desperate, Genya drew his sword and charged, but Kokushibo effortlessly cut off his other arm as well. In a swift motion, he slashed Genya's body into two, seemingly cutting him apart completely. Muichiro was horrified, straining with all his strength to break free from where he was impaled, but he couldn't. To Kokushibo's surprise, even after being bisected, Genya did not die. This was abnormal. It reminded him of someone he had encountered 300 years ago, a man who had consumed demon flesh in hopes of gaining power. But that man had died the moment Kokushibo sliced him apart. Yet this boy Genya was still alive. Intrigued, Kokushibo decided that to finish him for good, he would decapitate him. Just as Kokushibo raised his blade to cut off Genya's head, a sudden gust of ferocious wind forced him back. It was the arrival of the wind Hashira, Sanemi Shinazugawa. Bursting into the room with rage, Sanemi launched his wind breathing and declared, "Finally an upper moon! Today I'll cut off your head, Kokushibo." Then, turning to Genya, Sanemi shouted furiously, "You idiot brother! I've never seen anyone as foolish as you. For your survival, I even killed our own mother. And this is how you repay me?" At that moment, we flash back to Tanjiro telling Genya that he never once smelled any hatred from Sanemi toward him. In fact, it was the opposite. Sanemi loved him deeply. Back in the present, Sanemi's voice cracked with anger and emotion as he said, "I wanted you to live a normal life, have a wife, children, grow old peacefully. But instead, you chose the path of a demon slayer. No matter what, I'll protect you, even if it costs me my life." Hearing this, Kokushibo chuckled darkly, remarking that seeing two brothers fight side by side reminded him of his own long-forgotten memories. Sanemi wasted no time. He lunged at Kokushibo, unleashing his wind-breathing techniques. Kokushibo countered immediately with his blade, and their swords clashed violently. When Sanemi caught sight of Kokushibo's weapon, his face twisted in disgust. The blade was unnatural. Eyes were embedded across its surface, and it pulsed as if alive. Kokushibo finally revealed his terrifying power, moon-breathing. His strikes were so vast and overwhelming that Sanemi could barely dodge. Still, he pushed forward, countering with wind-breathing third form, Clean Storm Wind Tree, only for Kokushibo to slice through it with his moon-breathing. Despite this, Kokushibo began to notice something unusual about Sanemi: his endurance, his ferocity, his relentless drive. He muttered that this man's power was impressive. Meanwhile, Sanemi, though stunned by Kokushibo's terrifying skill, snarled that this was a demon truly worth killing. He unleashed wind-breathing second form, claws purifying wind. But once again, Kokushibo countered effortlessly with his moon-breathing. As Kokushibo looked upward, Sanemi lunged at him with another furious strike. Kokushibo blocked the attack with ease, but Sanemi had prepared a surprise. Using his agility, he gripped Genya's sword with his foot and swung it toward Kokushibo's neck in a sudden secondary strike. Yet even this unexpected move failed, as Kokushibo dodged effortlessly. The battle between them grew fiercer with every clash, both warriors releasing power that shook the very air around them. But after pushing himself to his absolute limits, Sanemi began to slow down. Kokushibo seized the moment one of his attacks sliced dangerously close, nearly grazing Sanemi's vital organs. Muichiro and Genya panicked as they watched, realizing just how close their comrade had come to death. At that instant, Kokushibo recalled the Sengoku era, when he had once fought a wind Hashira just as formidable as Sanemi. With a calm, merciless tone, Kokushibo unleashed moon-breathing sixth form, and the attack struck Sanemi directly. For a moment, Sanemi didn't even realize what had happened, only registering Kokushibo's chilling words, "If you move even slightly, your organs will spill from your body." But then Kokushibo began to feel something strange, a dizzying sensation overtaking him. Confused, he looked at his opponent. Sanemi smirked and said, "My blood is extremely rare. Every demon craves it. Even an upper moon can't resist its effects." With a laugh, Sanemi attacked again, taunting, "Even you can't withstand my blood." To his surprise, Kokushibo admitted, "This man speaks the truth." A flashback reveals Sanemi's past. He had discovered the true nature of his blood as a child, the night his demonized mother attacked him. It was his rare blood that had weakened her, allowing him to kill her and save his younger brother. From then on, Sanemi hunted demons relentlessly, dragging them into the sunlight whenever possible. But fighting through countless nights as a child took a terrible toll, leaving him scarred and partially blind. One night, while slaying another demon, Sanemi met Masachika Kumeno, a demon slayer, who had also been targeting the same monster. The two became close friends in a short time, fighting side by side and even managing to slay a lower moon together. But tragedy struck during that battle. Masachika was killed, leaving Sanemi devastated. Still, that moment introduced him to the Demon Slayer Corps, shaping the path he would follow. Back in the present, Sanemi roared and unleashed wind-breathing sixth form, Black Wind Mountain Mist, narrowly missing Kokushibo. The Upper Moon's eyes narrowed with respect. He realized Sanemi was contracting his muscles tightly, preventing his organs from spilling out despite the grievous wound. Kokushibo smirked, intrigued. In an unsettling motion, he caught Sanemi's sword with his foot, halting his attack. At that moment, another flashback surfaces Sanemi's very first meeting with Kagaya Ubuyashiki, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. In a flashback, Sanemi remembered his meeting with Kagaya Ubuyashiki. Sanemi, filled with anger, had once accused Kagaya, "You just use demon slayers for your own benefit while you sit safely inside your mansion." Hearing this, Gyomei, who was also present, scolded him, "Shinazugawa, watch your tongue." But Kagaya gently stopped Gyomei. Instead of taking offense, Kagaya bowed his head and apologized to Sanemi. He explained that he had been born with an extremely frail body, so weak that he could not even swing a sword more than 3 or 4 times. He admitted that he was useless in combat, but vowed to do everything else within his power to aid the demon slayers. Kagaya then added, "If my life must be sacrificed, it means nothing. The lives of you demon slayers are far more precious than mine." He further confessed that it was his fault. Sanemi had joined the corps so early. If he had not called Sanemi before Masachika's death, perhaps things would have been different. The mention of Masachika stunned Sanemi. How did Kagaya know about a seemingly random demon slayer he once fought beside? Kanae, who stood nearby, softly explained, "Kagaya-sama knows the names of every single demon slayer." Then, Kagaya stood and handed Sanemi a letter. It had been written by Masachika before his death. In it, Masachika spoke of his younger brother, who had been killed by a demon. Since then, Masachika had considered Sanemi to be like a little brother to him. As Sanemi read the letter, he was left speechless, his emotions overwhelming him. Kagaya concluded by saying, "Masachika's dream, and mine as well, was the same, that everyone should live their lives fully, and die only natural deaths, peacefully at the very end." Back in the present battle, Kokushibo prepared to decapitate Sanemi. But in a desperate move, Sanemi raised Genya's gun as a shield, forcing Kokushibo to block with his blade. In that moment, Kokushibo unleashed moon-breathing third form, a massive strike aimed directly at Sanemi. But before the attack could land, Sanemi vanished from its path. And then, the ground shook. The strongest Hashira had arrived. Gyomei Himejima, the stone Hashira. Gyomei stepped forward with a calm but overwhelming presence. He told Sanemi, "Tend to your wounds. Until then, I will handle this demon." Sanemi, exhausted and bleeding, reluctantly agreed. With rare humility, he apologized to Gyomei for burdening him. See how much this man has changed. As Gyomei readied himself for battle, Kokushibo's expression sharpened. The Upper Moon One, who had lived for centuries, admitted with a chilling respect, "In the past 300 years, I have not encountered a man as powerful as you." He also observed that Gyomei's strength was at its absolute peak. Gyomei began swinging his massive chained weapon, his breathing intensifying to extraordinary levels. His control of the air itself became apparent, the atmosphere bending toward him as if drawn in. Even Kokushibo could feel it, an undeniable force radiating from the stone Hashira. And with that, the stage was set for the clash between Kokushibo, the strongest Upper Moon, and Gyomei, the strongest Hashira. We will continue this intense battle in the next video, so make sure you don't miss it.